All right, guys, we're gonna do our best today. I have been under the weather, not feeling well. There's some stuff going on with my inner ear and my equilibrium, and I'm quite dizzy. So we will see how long I can sit here and talk about books today before I need a break. So we will see how well that goes. I know I look a little bit of a mess, but you know, it is what it is. We are here to talk about all of the books that I read in October. And I did not read that many great books in October. I kind of felt like every book was just fine. Like the book was just fine. It was all right. Not anything great to write home about. So let's go ahead and start off with some stats. So I read 8 books in the month of October. 5 of those were audiobooks, 2.5 were physical, and 1 was technically a Kindle/audiobook. My average rating was 3.56, so not that great. I read 3,074 pages, and I honestly just haven't had the energy to put together the genres. So, this is making me dizzy. So a lot of the books, especially the physical books that I read in October, are actually in my Halloween reading vlog. So I will link that down below so you can check that video out for more thoughts on the individual books, because I'm not going to go into that much detail today. Please, before we get into the wrap up, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you like my content, and let's go ahead with the book reviews for October. So the first book that I finished in October was Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I honestly enjoyed this book quite well. I've sort of liked Taylor Jenkins Reid books in the past, but this one by far is actually my favorite. I liked it even more, or maybe about the same as Malibu Rising. So in this book, we're introduced to Carrie Soto, and she plays tennis. Her dad used to play tennis in, I believe, Buenos Aires. And at a very young age, her mom died. And her father was her tennis coach. And so Carrie Soto grew up playing tennis. And she was known as not the nicest person. She wasn't friendly. In the tennis community, like when they would have their tournaments and stuff, she wasn't like one of the girls that you would like sit around and talk with and everything. She was very bound and determined to win the most Grand Slams. And so this was just a story of her journey through tennis and being the greatest tennis player and beating all of these rivals. And then she becomes injured, and then her going through rehab and training to get back playing tennis to an even better level than she was before. It's kind of a story of self-discovery and growth and learning, and I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the author's writing in this book. I ended up giving Carrie Soto is Back 4 stars. So the first physical book that I finished in October was Accomplice to the Villain, and I give most of my thoughts on this book in my Halloween reading vlog. Now, this is the 3rd book in the Apprentice to the Villain series, and so we follow the villain, Tristan, Evie, and Kingsley, who's the frog, and their band of misfits throughout their journey to try and save their world, which is Renadon. And in this story, they are basically trying to track down a bunch of magical artifacts, and along the way, they run into many obstacles and are thwarted by several people and betrayed, and have a lot of things that go wrong, but end up being okay in the end. So the end of this book was kind of a cliffhanger, and it left you guessing on who the actual traitor is. And so there is a 4th book that comes out. I believe it was just announced that it's coming out next summer. So looking forward to maybe what is the last book in the series. For most of this, I felt like the book was just fine. I wasn't loving it as much as the other ones. I just kind of felt like it was dragged on and there was a lot of just unnecessary stuff that was going on that didn't necessarily need to be there. So I ended up giving this book 3.75 stars. I'm really trying, guys. I know I'm not very energetic. This is a little bit difficult for me right now. Okay, so then I picked up the audiobook of Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, and I did enjoy the first book in this series. We're introduced to our main female character, who is a witch. I believe her name was Belle. We meet her just before her 30th birthday, and in this world, you get your magic at age 15, and then on your 30th birthday, you basically go for a test to see how well you've developed and used your magic throughout the last 15 years. Basically, because of Belle's lack of confidence in herself, she has used her magic unwisely. And the council determines that they want to take her magic away. And this happens right at the beginning of the book. And there is one of the two, I believe they're called Sage Witches of the Coven, is trying to help Belle out and kind of gives her an out, where in the grimoire it states that for the month of October, which her birthday just happens to be October 1st, for the month of October, she can go through some training with a mentor, and then at the end of the month, her magic is tested. This book had some twists and turns and some things that didn't quite make sense, and at the end of the book, we find out why and exactly what led up to the situation that Belle was in. I did enjoy this book for the most part. I wish that the romance was a little bit more developed. I did think that part of the story needed a little bit more. I would have liked to see more of their relationship. But overall, I did enjoy this book, and I did enjoy the audiobook, and I gave Rewitched 3.75 stars. Then I read Dreadful, and honestly, I wish I had DNF'd this book. And if this book had not been part of my Halloween reading vlog, I probably would have DNF'd it, because at halfway through, I just didn't care anymore. And it was just fine. Like, it was fine. The reason that I ended up finishing the last 50% is because I was able to get the audiobook through the library, and I listened to that while I was scrapbooking for a couple of hours one day. This book was just fine. We're introduced to Dark Lord Gavrix, who wakes up on the floor. I had to take a little break. My mom and my aunt called me because today is actually my birthday. So, sick of my birthday. Feels great. Anyway, Dreadful. Didn't really love this book. We're introduced to Dreadlord Gavrix, who wakes up on the floor of his office study, doesn't have any memory, doesn't remember who he is, where he is, anything that's going on. He finds out that he is in fact the lord of this castle, manor, and that he is evil. And bottom line, he doesn't understand why he was evil. He doesn't want to be evil anymore, and he has a change of heart. It was fine. It was fine. I honestly wish I DNF'd it. The second half of the book didn't get any better than the first half, and I was kind of bored. And unfortunately, this very cute edition will be in a free little library whenever I can actually drive a car again. So I gave Dreadful 2.5 stars. I listened to the audiobook of Mate, and I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. So this is the second book in the Bride series by Ali Hazelwood. And we are introduced to Cohen and Serena, and they're both werewolves. Technically, Serena is a hybrid. She's a half human, half werewolf. Serena has recently come out to the public as the first hybrid, so she has been getting a lot of publicity. Cohen very unceremoniously announces to her that she is his mate, but that the most important part of him does not care about her. So they part ways. If you'll remember from the first book, Serena is Misery's best friend, and Misery is the main female character in Bride. Now, then Serena finds out some rather troubling news about her health and decides that she wants to take a trip to a cabin out in the middle of the forest in Cohen's territory, which is the Northwest Territory, so like the Oregon area, out in the middle of nowhere so that she can be by herself. And she runs into some trouble, and of course Cohen saves her. So then basically because of this, her and Cohen are attached at the hip and their feelings start to develop towards each other. There's a lot of banter back and forth. I really like the way that Cohen treated Serena throughout most of the book. Even though he was kind of standoffish, he was always there when she needed him. He was going above and beyond for her, even though he acted like he didn't care. He was showing her through his actions how much he actually did care for her and how he took care of her. So I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed the audiobook. Highly recommend it. If you want more of my full thoughts on that, again, please check out the Halloween reading vlog that I have linked down below in the description box. So I gave Mate 4.75 stars. Very, very close to a 5-star. I just didn't quite get that 5-star feeling, but I still really enjoyed the book. So then I moved on to an audiobook that I actually got, or I won from a contest that the author Tejan was doing. And that is the book Kes, and it's a very short novella that is written in her Fallen Crust world, and it has a little bit to do with one of the motorcycle gangs, the Red Demons, and their prominent part. They're okay, I shouldn't say prominent. They're a part in the Fallen Crust world, which I've mentioned multiple times in my video because I love that series and that world, and I love the author Tejan. So I went ahead and listened to that very short novella audiobook, and basically we're introduced to this girl Kes, who is still in high school, who is related to a member of the Red Demons, and for some reason there is somebody who is threatening her. So another younger member of the Red Demons goes and pretends to be a student at her high school so that he can watch out for her. And this book mostly takes place after she is now, quote, safe, and he reveals who he actually is and that he's been watching her, and they have like this undenying attraction. And again, it's a very, very short novella, so it happens very, very quickly, and it's just a little extra tidbit into the Fallen Crust universe. And so I gave that short novella 3.75 stars. I finally finished Dracula by Bram Stoker, and I mostly enjoyed this book. I'm pretty sure most everyone is familiar with Dracula. I mostly enjoyed the book. I just thought that some of it was quite repetitive. There was some information in there that we didn't really need. A lot of back and forth, especially with some of the stuff with Renfield. It was just it got too into the weeds about some stuff. I did enjoy it. I'm glad that I read it. It's a classic. Now I know what it's about, exactly all of the details. And I enjoyed Van Helsing's part in this. I just thought everything was just kind of roundabout and drawn out. I think the book could have been shorter and more concise. But I still enjoyed the story, and I gave Dracula 3.5 stars. Let's talk about the last book that I finished in October. So I started Circe by Madeline Miller, and I have been so excited about this book. I've heard so many great things about this book and how great the audiobook was, blah, blah, blah. So I got the audiobook. I've been waiting for it at the library for so long, and I finally was able to get it and listen to it. And honestly, I started enjoying the story as I got to learn all the different gods and the titans and the differences and who they were to each other, and because I'm not very familiar with the Greek god lore. So I got to learn some of that and understand the relationships and how that all kind of worked. But honestly, it was just fine. I was bored with it, honestly. Even like 30% of the way through, I'm like, I really don't care. I liked at least Cersei learning about herself and kind of gaining more confidence, because her father and her mother and her siblings were just so cruel to her and so demeaning to her for all of her life when she was growing up. And so she ended up being exiled and to an island by herself, and she got to know herself and she had more confidence in herself. So that was a good thing. Now, I did DNF this book at 50%. So I only got halfway through it before I just really didn't care anymore. I just didn't. And so it was fine. I was just bored. Just like most of the books of this month, I was just bored and it was just fine. And I was tired of reading just fine books. So I just stopped reading it. So because I got halfway through, I did mark it as finished, and I gave Cersei 2.5 stars. That wraps up all of the books that I read in October. However, I did start reading, and I have this cute cover on. I did start reading Primal of Blood and Bone by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the 6th book in the Blood and Ash series, and it just came out at the end of September. And so I did start reading this in the month of October, and I got 480 pages into the book. So I read this and I did not read this. And I decided to count these 480 pages towards my page number for October, because that was a good probably week or week and a half of my reading for the month, was reading that. And that's a significant portion of the month for me. So I counted those pages in my October number of pages read, just because it's such a big chunk. Now, I did have to finish the last part of the book via audio, because I still, even now, and it's been a week that I've been dealing with this, I'm still, even now, I can't read any books because my vision is just too blurry and in and out because I'm so dizzy. So I had to finish the rest of that book via audio. So I am done with it at this point because it is the end of the first week in November. But I will save my review for that for my November wrap up. But I just wanted to let you know that I did start this book and I did get well over halfway through in the month of October. So let's talk about the books that were on my TBR that I unfortunately did not get to. I believe I spun and landed exactly on Babylonia. Did not get to this book. I spun and landed on Mistress of Lies. Again, unfortunately did not get to this book. I landed on a KU book, picked Credence, did not get to that, which we already kind of knew because I have plans for that book in a couple of months. And then I landed on a book published in the 2010s, picked Twisted 26, also did not get to that. And then landed on Rose in Chains, also did not get to that. However, I forgot to mention, I did start Eldritch, which is the second book in the Eating Woods series by Carrie Lake. And I got about 100 pages into that before this whole thing happened. And so I haven't been able to actually physically read. So I did get 100 pages into that book as well. So those were the physical / Kindle books that I did not get to. And then as far as audiobooks, I spun the genre wheel and got dystopian, picked Handmaid's Tale, did not get to that. And then also landed on the Cletus and Jen Solving for Pi book 1. Unfortunately did not get to that one either. Ran out of time for the audiobooks. The physical books I was just reading slow this month, mostly because the books I was reading were just fine. They were just fine. They weren't anything super great to write home about, so it did take me a while to get through them because I wasn't totally loving them. So thank you for sticking with me through this video. I know it's probably not the most exciting video I've ever put out, just because I'm not feeling super well, but I really appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with me, and please tune in for hopefully another video next week.